had enough.
Okay, can you start that again? Because not one word made sense.
How about you do the intro?
No.
Anika reporting live here for Pro Shop. Word is in, news is in that Pete from Pro Shop has been working very hard this week making progress on both of the Holden Utes. Now, I have my colleague and informant live at the scene, and we're going to cross to him now. Barney, are you there? Barney, the camera is rolling. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. We must have had some technical difficulties there. So we're going to cross live now to Peter at Pro Shop. Who's going to give us an update on the RBEH. Peter, are you there?
Okay. Thanks, Anika, with that. So yes, we've been busy working on the EHs this week. I'll quickly cover this one, and then I'll do Barney's job and cover what we did on the patina EH.
I think I might need to fire Barney.
Yeah. As I said last week, if you just jump up over in there, I'll show you what I did. It literally was just spending a day in here and welding all this around. I haven't done this part yet because I'm going to weld this from underneath. So I'm going to flip the car over and on the rotisserie and weld that. But all the tubs are welded in. All the sheet metal around the side, all that's been welded in. And it was, as I said last week, it was bolted down to the chassis so it didn't move around. And welded it and it cooled down and it stayed nice and straight. So that was a good thing. I put the diff back in, that's all tacked in place, ready to go. And then put the motor back in, the front K-frame, the crossmember, gearbox, and then I started working on the tunnel. So I got my mock-up tail shaft in there, and I took the springs out and compressed the diff up all the way until the diff housing or the axle tubes touch the chassis rail, and that's its maximum clearance, that's the maximum it can be lowered, and that way I can get the highest point for the tail shaft to go through into the tunnel to the back of the gearbox. And I'll come forward now and I'll show you what I've done with the tunnel. So this is not my usual tunnel. It's big and bulky and I'm still having weird feelings about it. It had to be this high because of the shifter. So I sat the gearbox in and got it up as high as possible. So there's a low clearance underneath the car. It's actually, the chassis rail is the lowest part. Well, the exhaust will be when it goes in, but the chassis rails are right at the bottom and the gearbox is tucked up. And so this is the height of where this shifter sits, this base plate that comes through here, that the S1 sequential shifter goes in. So I just decided to use this level all the way through. So it looks funny from that side. This side, when the seat's in, it actually is really comfortable. The seat's in here, it sits nicely, hugs around the side of the tunnel here. And probably make up a console that will hide all this anyway. Nice armrest, and you have your shifter right here, and then we'll do something here, but we'll figure that out later. Sort of the process I do when I'm making a tunnel, or a lot of things actually, is I'll just start with a bit of MIG wire and bend it up to the shape that I'm kind of trying to achieve. That way I can check for clearances all the way along. And then I'll go fold one up out of the sheet, the thickness of the sheet that I'm using. And then that becomes the folding template. And then I'll do the full piece. And like with this, I make the 2 straight pieces first. And then anyone else that's been following this channel for a while knows I love my tape templates. And I just tape this up, cut it out, mark the folds, lay it on the bit of sheet metal, cut it out, fold it, and it pretty much slips straight in. So I'll be doing another one here. This section's not in yet. I've just tacked this in place to hold it all in while I've tacked the floor and tunnel in. And then I'm going to go on to the firewall and sheet and smooth off the firewall, and then I can finish this last tunnel flare. So I'll show you another cool thing that has just turned up.
Cool.
I just need to move your news desk out of the way.
This is pretty cool. Let me get over the bench sheet.
So, a shout out to Custom Plenum Creations down the south coast of Sydney here, Wollongong. And look at this beautiful machine work. So this is the intake plenum, and I've already trialed this on the car, but I don't want to leave it on because it's I don't want to get it damaged.
Ooh, fits nice.
So they are also making a custom cam covers too. So they should be here soon. But you can see I just have to notch out, because I've pushed this motor so far back to allow for the fan, the intercooler, the radiator, the condenser, all that has to fit behind the grill. So I've pushed the motor back as far as possible without going too far back, because the shifter is as far forward as it can be. Yeah. So this is its happy point. So it was clashing on the back of the firewall. So I just notched that out, and now I'll sheet all that in, smooth it off, and then I can finish a lot of that work back there. And then I can come forward and do this section, because there's going to be a lot. You can see right here the throttle body shoots straight into this radiator support. So this is all going to be modified into the intercooler. So there is a lot of work still yet to come. So that was about all I did this week on this car, was the tunnel and the welding in the back. But earlier on Monday, when the Camaro left, it freed up a hoist. So the Patina EH, the first one I built, it's been sitting at the front of the workshop for about 5 months now, maybe 4 months, because it was, the last thing we did to it was do the remount rack, change the rack, and then it was going out because the engineer wasn't happy with it, so we changed it from the front mount to the remount, and then when it was on its way to the brake test, oil dropped out of it everywhere and went all over the exhaust, and smoke was coming out. So stopped, turned around, came back to the workshop, jacked it up, and what I thought it was the remain seal. So I didn't have a hoist free, so I just parked it. The customer he's okay with it. He's nicest customer. He was happy that it wasn't going just yet. So as soon as the Camaro left, I chucked it on the hoist and had a look. And while it did look like it was coming from the remain, I thought I was going to have to pull the gearbox out. And if anyone knows about doing remains, they are on the old 253, 308 Holden motors. They can be a pain in the ass. So what I did was drop the cross member, because I was going to have to pull the sump off anyway. And when I pulled the sump off, I noticed that the gasket had pinched and squirted out on the inside. And when on idle, it was fine, but as soon as there was any bit of load on the motor, it started squirting out. So luckily enough, it wasn't a remain. Long story short, it was just a sump gasket. So I went to the spare parts store and said I don't want the standard silicon one, and they said we've got a cork one, which is a lot better. doesn't actually squish out. So replace that, put the cross member back in, and we're ready to go. It's back. So I'll book in the brake test again, get it engineered, and then it can go. Barney, will you please let go of the stick so I can throw it?
Bunny, let go.
Oh, you listen to Mum.
So if you remember in last week's video, the wrong size filter had shown up. It was a 14-inch and a 16-inch box.
Yep. So we said we have a 14-inch air filter if anyone wants one. So I organised that I rang them up and spoke to them, emailed them on last Wednesday. By Friday it was approved and they had shipped another one. And on Wednesday this week, another one turned up.
Yay!
I was really excited because that was very quick and the Camaro had already left, so I was going to run this around to the Camaro and open up the box and look, this time it says 1601, guaranteed this is the right box. Drum roll. Again, they sent a 14. Another 14.
So now we have
box.
two 14s.
So now we have two 14s and they're not answering my emails. I'll chase that back up again next week. God, chasing up parts, it's half my life. So, anyway, that's about all we've done. Yeah, so all that is coming up next week is to finish more on this, finish the firewall, try and get the floor welded in because I want to get this off the chassis table and onto a hoist. This is the first time I've built a car on a chassis table, and while it is great to have it bolted down and leveled and welding great, it's a pain in the ass to get in and out of all the time. So there's good and bad. I'm just happy that we'll be getting this back on the hoist, back on a hoist soon, and yeah. So lots of stuff happening. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.
You say bye. Bunny, you want to say bye? Say bye.
And that do we have to cross over to sports and weather? Do we do sports and weather now?
And now we'll just cross live over to